Hello, you are listening to the Gamer Librarian Podcast, the best podcast you can find on this side of the multiverse. I am your host, Adrian, and today I will be talking about Core Keeper, Beetlejuice, and more. Leave a like and comment on whatever books, video games, or whatever you think I would enjoy and talk about here on the podcast. Just whatever. So let's get into it. Lovely Friday that we have here again. I'm so happy to have our 51st episode with you all. Now, I am currently gearing up for our first guest appearance coming next week. That will be the 52nd episode where we have our first guest appearance, and I am so excited to talk to her. It is going to be a great time. We've been in a little contact over email, just getting things done, planning everything out. So hopefully everything works out the way it should be or the way it should go. So, and yeah, I've just been really excited for that. That's also the same day that we'll be moving into a new apartment. That's also a big milestone for us. That's awesome. Gonna have our own space closer to work. It's gonna be really nice. So, we're going to be entering a new era, and the podcast is only growing. So, here's to the future. So, yeah, other than that, there's camping trips and some other things that is going to be taking up part of my time. So, not a whole lot of gaming or potentially reading at the ad is going to be used or done a whole lot. I've been a pretty busy guy lately. So I think we should get into all of the gaming news and just in general what came out throughout the week because that's pretty much what this is now. We talk about what news or cool updates come out from over the last weekend and then the weekdays, and we just go over what happened. So, today a lot of stuff comes out on Friday mid prepping for the podcast and stuff. So I try to keep up and date with certain stuff by time I hit the record button. And so, earlier today, I saw that the PlayStation hit game God of War Ragnarok launched on PC, right? And they're still doing the thing where you're required to play or connect your PlayStation Network account to in order to play these games. This is a similar issue that happened earlier in April and May for Helldivers 2, and that's an online multiplayer game, completely understandable for something that's crossplay between Sony and PC at the time, I believe. So I totally understand the kind of issue that happened then in terms of the network account requirement, but God of War Ragnarok is a single player game. I don't see the need for that, and that just seems really, just after like all the news this year, it just seems like they're trying to push the button again and see what sticks and try to just nudge it in there so people don't notice. But God of War Ragnarok on PC, at least on Steam, is getting hit with these mixed user reviews, low user reviews, and quite frankly, that's fair. I don't necessarily know the extent of the requirement, but I don't think you necessarily need it to play it, but I think maybe certain online services through it just aren't working. But yeah, you need to sign up your account, and that just really sucks. The article will obviously be linked if anybody needs to, check that out if you're looking to play God of War Ragnarok. I played it on the PS5 and it was great, and obviously it's native to that console, so it just seems odd that Sony's really pushing that cross-play, or at least they weren't pushing a crossplay for a while ago. They had an issue with Fortnite, but at least they're trying to put out their games on other platforms, PC most notably, which is pretty good. That just brings it to a larger market, a larger player base, which is really great. Yeah, and God of War has a DLC that's like maybe like a survival type mode, like an arena round based thing. I haven't got a chance to try that out. That seems really fun. Really liked the combat for God of War Ragnarok, and I just really like to go back to it. But yeah, if you guys are struggling for getting access for God of War Ragnarok, that's really terrible, especially now with like consoles costing $500 to $700 just to play a game. But I'm sure that like down the road they'll get rid of this requirement because that just seems silly for a single player game, especially. But after Helldivers and, once I'm sure this article gets a little more traction for God of War fans, I'm sure Sony will back off of it. So, RIP to them. But yeah, that's something. So hope you guys get a chance to play God of War Ragnarok whenever you can. Um, just gonna move on. In other pretty cool news, Netflix confirms that there's gonna be another Cyberpunk animated project after the last one they did, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I believe it was called. Edge Runners was really good. That I at least remember. I like it had a cohesive story from beginning to end. It didn't really tie in too much to the actual game itself or the lore of Cyberpunk, so I think that was really helped it, especially the character arcs that they go through, the kind of development in that world is really great. I think it was a great introduction to anybody who hasn't had an idea of what Cyberpunk is. Even through the games, you don't really get a full sense, like the new game that came out 77 a few years ago. So definitely give that a chance. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching that in the future because it was really fun. And they had the main character, or at least the female girl, May, or I forget her name, but she's going to be in the Guilty Gear Strive season 3 or season 4 DLC pack. It's been a while since I've played Guilty Gear and I never got the DLC packs, but now that she's in it, you can bet I'm going to be getting those as like the first guest character for Cyberpunk. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. So yeah, I was a big fan of Cyberpunk 77. That got me into the Cyberpunk Red tabletop game, and it's just been a pretty good time ever since. I was looking forward to going back to 77 at some point, but that's in the future. So maybe by the time this anime or whatever they're going to put out on Netflix comes out, maybe we'll go back and do the game because I never really got to the DLC. I did another playthrough, just try to get to it, but I just haven't gotten to it. You kind of got to go a little far into the game to start the DLC, but I heard it's good. So yeah, I'm really glad that Cyberpunk, at least in terms of a brand, is still kind of there in terms of their projects and like its availability to like being open to the public and having just general positivity for it. I'm glad that Cyberpunk 77 didn't just kill this franchise outright dead. Certain games like Dragon Age, I think you can see that being maybe the new game just killing the franchise entirely, kind of like Andromeda. But that's a whole different topic for another time completely. Yeah, so kudos to Netflix putting another project out there. Looking forward to that. So, something I don't get to talk about enough on the podcast here is Kingdom Hearts 4, and I will bitch about this game forever because I don't think it should be happening. But there's an article put out through like IGN, and then it was like originally from Young Jump or whoever this is, and they talked to the lead Kingdom Hearts 4 art designer, Tetsuya Nomura, and they talk about where they're going with the game and just the premise and what they like, expect, and it's really vague and not really like you know informative. But they're saying that he's like a collection of secret notes and other materials pointing to different characters, eras, and developments that haven't yet appeared, and all that stuff. And I just gotta say, like, as much as I love Kingdom Hearts, I already think the soul of it is dead. I think the absolute soul of Kingdom Hearts is destroyed and just it's gone. It really is gone. Um, because Kingdom Hearts 3 barely had any Final Fantasy characters, like actually barely any. And you think about how crucial it felt for the Final Fantasy characters to just be part of the story in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Like they're pretty crucial once you get to Traverse Town, and then that's their entire set. And that's the only enhanced by the time you get to like Radiant Garden for Kingdom Hearts 2, and they even appear like on some of the side stuff. There's obviously the characters from X or 10 in Destiny Islands, and then you have like the cloud fights in the Hercules area, and they're even like the part of the villains, like some of like Axel, I think is a Final Fantasy. He's Lee from Final Fantasy 7, of course. Like it's crazy. That part of that entire dynamic of Kingdom Hearts was just sidelined in the third game, and I think the soul's dead for Kingdom Hearts. Now the Disney part of it is obviously like what shines. I think in Kingdom Hearts 3, that's like the most notable recent connection I can make. I mean, they're all good in my opinion, but like it's the most recent game. So the Toy Story one, the Monsters Inc. one, the Big Hero 6 world, like all the new worlds, even the Tangle world, I really liked. But it's just the Disney side is so front faced to it. It really feels like they did the same thing with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, where they put more emphasis on Marvel and Disney side of stuff rather than what made the crossover really great. And that was the amalgamation of this Final Fantasy-esque world and the characters on top of just Disney, which is like why people are here. You're here mostly for the Disney and the Final Fantasy stuff. And I feel as a fan, we kind of got gypped on the last game. And I'm certain in Kingdom Hearts 4 we will not have any Final Fantasy characters, like just at all. I bet. I bet Disney probably won't even allow that. Maybe they won't even bother because I think maybe Square Enix doesn't think that like the Final Fantasy side of it is as popular for Kingdom Hearts, and I think that that's true. You have the return of Final Fantasy VII, which is absolutely massive with the remake games. Truly, 16 was a banger. 15, I hear got a lot better once the DLC came out. Never played the DLC, just the base game, but still, that's pretty good. I liked that game. 14 is a massive MMO that's still out there. You could definitely do something with that. 13, I'm a fan, still a good game, don't care. 12, not really featured in Kingdom Hearts, obviously. 11, another MMO. We can go down the list, but you can still do a lot with not even just Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, any other Square Enix like franchise. Like I don't care. Just do something cool and new and interesting. So Kingdom Hearts, I can bitch about that game forever, but it's just like I don't really want to see this game be milked or uh, just created to not just appease, like ruin the fans' expectations or anything. It's just sad. It's just really sad. Yeah. Um, I'm not really looking forward to it, but it's definitely something that I'm like gonna be keeping an eye out for. Just like kind of like I feel like Dragon Age. Like I feel like this is just a game that shouldn't be coming out, and I don't think that it's gonna have that same kind of love and care that it originally had when it started up. It's just not gonna be there. Yeah, we're just not gonna talk about Kingdom Hearts for a while after that. But Dragon Ball put out a new trailer focusing on the entire new roster that is complete now. All 100, I think, 80 characters at launch, and then the DLC characters make it to about plus 20, which is most likely going to be super characters like the stuff after the manga. Uh, like stuff after the Tournament Power, things that haven't been adapted from the manga yet after the Super anime. So in the trailer, they focus on the TV move, like not the TV show, but the movie characters themselves, because there's just like the anime. So it's things like Broly Z is coming back and like his three transformations, Cooler, Turles, we get Lord Slug, all those movie characters are coming back, even Dr. Wheelo, which is great. And the confirmed DLC pre-order character is Teen Goku or Goku Teen, or I guess they called it Goku Mini. It's the version from Dragon Ball Daima, which also comes out on the same day. Sparking Zero is put out October 11th. I'm so excited, hoping that the collector's edition comes a little sooner so that way I can, just download the game and play it when I can. But I don't think I'm going to get it until the actual release date, which kind of sucks considering I paid about $200 plus for it. But that's another here or there. I'm looking forward to putting this big statue in my new apartment, like on top of the bookshelf or something. It's going to be fun. So yeah, definitely looking forward to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I used to play the Budokai Tenkaichi games for hours, hours on end, especially three. Of course, three was the best one, and this just seems like it's what video games should be. It's taking what works, what felt fun, and what was like authentic to certain gameplay styles. Like Dragon Ball is such a specific world where like you want the game to feel fast paced, you want it to feel flashy, and your moves to be impactful, and the fights to last a while. Especially considering things like some characters are massive, like Harudagong or Janemba or the Great Apes, like any of those big, large characters, you still want to be able to play as them. Dragon Ball Fighters was really fun. But that's a 2D game, so we don't get any of those giant characters, and your limitations like very limited. And it's kind of hard to adapt to fighting games for a lot of people. I think the 3D fighting games, the 3D arena anime stuff, there's a place for them. And I know Dragon Ball Sparking seems like it's going to kind of live up to that Budokai Tenkaichi feel, which I'm super excited for. It's going to be a good time. So once October starts, it's pretty much going to be only Dragon Ball I'll be talking about. But I do want to touch on some horror stuff, so look forward to that. We're going to be talking about, a few horror manga that I wanted to reread and just getting preparation for things like the Uzumaki anime also coming out in October. Yeah, it's gonna be real fun. It's gonna be real fun. So yeah, Dragon Ball, I'm looking forward to it. And in other news, surprising, the Nintendo company has finally put out uh a lawsuit against the developer of Pal World, which in my opinion, I don't think they have any real claim. There's a lot of Pokemon ripoffs there, but the actual crux of this lawsuit comes from the fact that Nintendo, which I didn't know about, Nintendo has patents on like how catching creatures in video games works. Like if it's a spherical ball-like thing and it makes certain noises or sounds or indications that you're catching the Pokemon based on whatever. There's apparently like a whole chart with it. I only really caught Asmongold talking about it just on the offhand, but I have the article, and I just really don't think that this is going to be something that's going to be, you know, really good for Nintendo in either long run. Then I don't think they're going to win this case, but it's like Japanese copyright law, and I think Power World is native to Japan. I could be completely wrong on that, but I know that like it's not American domestic or even like Western. I believe it's fully like a more Eastern kind of focus, like native game, as far as I remember when it was being talked about. But yeah, I think that sucks. I hope the Power devs, this doesn't hurt them. I don't think it will. And even so, like I think Nintendo doesn't do a good job with its IP, its Pokemon property. They were dominant for like 20 years and their games only got worse. It actually got worse. I think the actually only good new Pokemon game was X. Like once they came onto the Switch, they started not really being that good. They started focusing more on the open world 3D aspect of it, and I don't think that's the kind of vibe we necessarily want right now if you're not going to do it well. Like they could have done it well, but it's really not there. Um, what was it? Sword and Shield, that's maybe about okay, but I think like the openness of it really kind of diminishes like part of the adventure. I would like side quests, In my opinion, I kind of want a Pokemon adventure that feels like the Pokemon Show, where like not only are you going to these towns and these cities for these gyms and you're meeting these powerful, strong trainers Pokemon, but I mean, like, you get into wacky stuff. Like, I remember in the Pokemon anime, there's an episode where they go to a Pokemon, like, school and the kids are practicing Pokemon on like arcade systems and they're just playing Pokemon like they're learning it. And the characters, the Ash and his party, they like fight some of the kids in the school, and that seems like a really fun side quest, a really fun thing to do on the side. There's things like the Golden Magic Card episode where you go on the cruise and you get like the cruise gets like underwater. Like there's none of that in Pokemon games. Pokemon's been very static in the last forever. Really, it honestly really has been. It's really just you got your 10-year-old character, you're gonna get a Pokédex or whatever, you're gonna get your starter and just go out, collect Pokemon, do these challenges, these 8 badges and whatever, and then get to the end. And then there's like end game and there's like other stuff like at the end game, EV training, all that useless nonsense. But there's no like real meat to these Pokemon games. Like I want a Pokemon game that feels like the anime, like I'm on an adventure with a party of people, and what actions, choices, decisions we make along that way kind of do feel like an adventure, and you get to like have memories or moments based on that and shared experiences. Like, where's the Pokemon MMO? I'm sorry, where is that? Where is the Pokemon MMO? Because Power World's probably about the closest thing to it. It has proper co-op. It really does. So yeah, it just seems like Power World is really just in the between a rock and a hard place with trying to deliver an authentic experience that, yeah, obviously is based on games that we love and enjoyed for the last 20 plus years, but everything does that. Everything takes like a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of um like acknowledgement from other things. Sure, maybe some of the Pokemon kind of look like Pokemon, and yeah, you throw Pokeballs to catch these things, but no, who cares? Like it's just garbage. It's just really bad. I don't think whoever's deciding for this lawsuit behind Nintendo or for Nintendo is just you're so out of touch. You really are. That's just what I gotta say. I mean, I just hope that the Power devs really get behind this and or like past this and it doesn't affect them in the long run ever. Looking forward to playing Power again. But yeah, that sucks for them, truly. And in other news, so I only want to talk about this because there's one character and I'm super excited for, and that's the Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns official trailer. Now that's like all story based, right? And I could give two shits about the story for Mortal Kombat. I mean, it's just like a new story. These are like character rosters of like 30 plus characters. I don't really like a whole lot of them, but they got my boy Ghostface. You got my boy Ghostface, and one of his like fatalities as a reference to not just the trilogy, the original trilogy of Scream, but like the extended stuff up to like Scream 6 or like the dual killer kills. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, I'm super looking forward to playing as my absolute favorite horror icon in a horror game. Yeah, I know he's in things like Dead by Daylight, but I never really liked the style behind Dead by Daylight. It was like it's an online game. Those aren't really like my specific vibe, but it's definitely still fun. And have him in a fighting game, specifically Mortal Kombat, and I get to kill these Mortal Kombat characters as Ghostface. It's going to be the best time. Now, I believe Ghostface does not come out until like the later half of the expansion. Like I think they'll probably have like the Mortal Kombat characters be the launch characters that come with Chaos Reigns, and then maybe as like 2025 rolls around, then we'll get the all the all the all the guest characters, yeah. And I would need a good excuse to go back to Mortal Kombat 1 because as much as I liked it, It didn't necessarily have that kind of um what's it tag team feel that I really liked from things like Mortal Kombat or Fighters. It's just like it really doesn't have that. It still kind of feels like the slow, kind of clunky, but yet still very methodical Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay. But it's just like a game that I haven't really put many hours in. But with all the new character content and stuff, it's gonna be a really fun time. Things like Conan and the second Terminator character coming into the franchise, it's gonna be really great in my opinion. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Now, it definitely different news, but I was very surprised for it. But I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for it if I can. But Magic the Gathering is putting out a crossover with Chucky, the killer doll from Child's Play, which is awesome, and that's awesome just in my opinion. That I missed out on the Fallout expansion for Magic the Gathering. I just didn't buy any of the cards because they're like $50 minimum, and it's just like I'm not even into Magic the Gathering that much. But I don't really want to miss out on like these cool cards. They just seem fun. About like 30 or $40, I guess. For these packs or whatever the article says. But I just think it's cool talking about Chucky coming to cross with Magic the Gathering because I'm seeing things like Tiffany the Bride of Chucky, who's like my favorite character in the Chucky franchise, voiced by Jennifer Tilly. It's just great. So big fan of Chucky, and I'm hoping to see more really fun Magic the Gathering crossovers. I know that they're doing things like the Marvel one, which I definitely won't miss out on, like I did the Fallout one. Far more of a Marvel fan than a Fallout fan, but yeah, I think it's going to be awesome to get back in the Magic the Gathering. And maybe I want to do something for like you guys with like unboxing or unwrapping the cards and just seeing what they're like or giveaways or something. I want to get a little more interactive, through the podcast. I think it'd be fun. So yeah, back to like legitimate video games, just because, Nintendo has a few leaks going through with Zelda Echoes of the Wisdom. Now, I haven't really been following this game just because I haven't really, been interested in it. I'm not really gonna buy a $60 or $70 chibi Zelda game. I'm just not really gonna do that. But so there's been leaks. I guess it's footage of like maybe full long footage of the Nintendo. Oh, actually, let's look at it. I have it right here. Okay, no, it's an actual ROM. So like a ROM version of Echoes of Wisdom has dropped. And Nintendo is putting out copyright claims and all kinds of stuff. That's crazy. That's an internal issue in my opinion. Maybe somebody got an early copy, which this is obviously going to happen. NDAs and all that stuff. That's a realm I have no experience in, but it's just like, man, that's not a good look to get your game leaked out online. Like what are you doing? You know, you should only really put out those early copies if like they're playing it the day of or even the day before, just because it's like, if it's the day before, someone could just not be on the internet and just wait until the day comes out. But like a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people like me wait until the game's on sale, obviously. So like, I mean, I'm just gonna ignore this game. I've been ignoring it for the last half a year since it's been announced. So it's not really on my radar. And if it's online already, maybe we'll see what it's like. But from what I saw from the you know little bit of gameplay they put out, it doesn't seem all that awful, but I'm still excited. I think it'll be fun. So, one day I'll play it. But yeah, that game's online. That sucks. Rip Nintendo. And definitely in smaller news, back on the fighting games, the Powerpuff Girls are going to be featured in the Multiversus fighting brawl game that was it WB put out to like mimic Smash Brothers, which I'm surprised we're not seeing more kind of games like that. Obviously, they're kind of a little hard to make depending on your franchise and stuff. But yeah, seeing the Powerpuff Girls being in this game is really great. Now I'm looking at the trailer because I'm really interested to see if you fight as one or like three. It's all three. It's like like it's kind of like Ice Climbers in a way, or like Pokemon from Smash, where like you can switch out Pokemon but like one at a time. But no, it's like all of them. They have a whole like move set and stuff. Obviously, I'm looking at all their moves. So they have like attacks and stuff. Oh man, that looks crazy. I would absolutely try out Powerpuff Girls. That seems fun. Yeah, it's just haven't been having enough time to go back and fight this game, fight anyone on this game. It's an online fighting game, and it's just like, I have so many single player games. Warhammer is also multiplayer. I've been playing that, and then Wukong. We'll talk about that later on, but it's just like, yeah, Powerpuff Girls is crazy. I really like Powerpuff Girls growing up. There's actually a really fun Powerpuff Girls game, Powerpuff Battle for the Pickle or something, was on the GameCube. Perfect. perfect cartoon game. Absolutely W game. Would love to see a game like that come back. That and like some other games like the SpongeBob games and the Rugrats game is really fun. But yeah, yeah, this is a moveset trailer that I'm looking at, and yeah, you fight as all three Powerpuff Girls at the same time. That's awesome. I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, that's my first time seeing that. That's great. Super excited to see what they look like on the big screen with like actually like how they feel on gameplay and stuff. So yeah, I do think it's time to talk about our sponsor, Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like other energy drinks. We also have no maltodextrin filters and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Now, if you use the link below and enter in coupon code GamerLibrarian, you will get 10% off your order on any of the products like drink powders, apparel, portable bottles, stickers, and bags. Now, that is if you go and use the link down below, enter in coupon code GamerLibrarian for 10% off of your order. Dubby is an energy drink powder that is produced in FDA registered and inspected facilities in the United States. Yeah, that about does it for all the news that I think is pretty relevant and like important for the week and stuff, and just what I was thought was really engaging and uh interesting. So, I try to talk about all kinds of new stuff for the podcast. I think it offers a really good flavor for the show, other than me just talking about what I'm doing. And yeah, that just seems really great. RIP for Pal World getting sued, and that just seems really bad. But in lighter news, I got into Chapter 5 of Black Myth Wukong, and this game has been kicking my ass. It really has. Um, Now I understood that like it's kind of like Dark Souls or like Lies of P, Bloodborne kind of gameplay, or at least like how it presents itself, where like as you explore, you might meet NPCs and explore and like meet secrets and like need to have items to talk to these NPCs. So like that kind of gameplay that I experience, I never really try to look up and like know beforehand. Like I try to like figure it out on my own as I play the game. So like as I've been playing Black Myth Wukong, I started more recently going back to the NPCs and talking to them. Like I forgot there's a shop in the first area that you can buy stuff in, and then there's like an upgrade due. Like I didn't do this until like chapter 4. I really didn't do that. So I went back and got all these upgrades and stuff. And when you get to chapter 4, there's um apparently like a secret level. And I didn't know that at the time. I was just fighting this boss, and it was called like the Thousand Eyes, whatever. And it felt like it was about like the final boss for the area. And I'm like, why can't I beat this guy? Like, what is happening? He's been like, as soon as he gets to a second phase, he's pretty relentless on some of his stuff, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, I don't have any time. And I was like, okay, maybe if I look up something about his move set and just understand a little better, like how it works, I'll see what happens. And that's usually has like as far as I'll go in terms of like looking things up for games, like other than like puzzles that I can't figure out. Like when it usually comes to bosses, unless like it's clear that there's something preventing me from beating this boss, I usually don't look at it. And I'm sure I could have beaten him just on the natural cusp of my normal level. At the time I was like what, like 43 or whatever. At the time, like your chapter 4, maybe it was like chapter 50 or so, because I'm like 80 now and we're on chapter 5. But so yeah, I looked it up, and what I found out was that there's like a secret level and you get like an item that can help you beat him. Apparently, that's like, I guess maybe the meta, or like it works out for the lore. I necessarily couldn't remember how it plays into the book and the source material, but so I found that out, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll try and get this item, because honestly I didn't really want to miss out on the secret area and stuff or any of the bosses. I don't want to do that, and I was going to try and get all the bosses and whatever I miss by the time I beat the final boss, or when I see the credits, or whatever feels like that's the time, just because I don't want to miss out on that. And so yeah, I ended up doing the secret level and trying to beat the boss requirements to getting the this like needle, the wind needle. It's kind of like the thing that the blue dude from Guardians of the Galaxy uses with the whistle. Yeah, it's very similar to that. So that thing came in really handy. The second phase of the boss was over really fast just because you used the item, and it worked out really well. And so I beat the boss, and now I'm on chapter 5, and chapter 5 is really great. And yeah, I'm excited that I get to experience this game and get this far, but like I don't really consider looking things up as cheating. It's just more like I want to experience figuring it out, completing it like on my own by my own merit rather than like looking it up. So like, I try to keep that as minimum as possible, especially for like action single player games for the most part. Things that were like I could just beat this game if like I just grind it out, smash my head against the wall, one by one kind of thing. But yeah, but by the time I get to the final boss, I'll probably look up the other secret areas. I'm sure I missed one or two and some of the other like NPC stuff. But yeah, I'm loving Black Myth Wukong, man. It's so good. One of my favorite games by far is this game. I think it makes top 10 easy. Like I wouldn't even know. I have to add it into the top 10 list that you can go and watch early. One of the earlier episodes, episode 10 that we did. So yeah, you could definitely guys go and watch that. So yeah, I've been bullying the bosses in Black Myth Wukong. There's a clip. I would do it if I could, but I forgot my PS5 controller and I saved it on the PS5. But there's a boss, and I just cheesed it to the point where it just fell off the map, and that was really great. I never understood why developers allow boss fights to let that happen. Like I understand boss fights where like if you're on like a bridge, for like Dark Souls, like the first boss, or like it's the third boss you fight in Dark Souls 1, that's like on the bridge, whatever his name is, and he could fall off. Like sometimes I get that kind of makes sense, but it's just like it kind of feels cheap just to be like pushing them off the edge. But yeah, you could bully bosses in this game, and in my opinion, I feel like that's the way to go about it is to not only learn the attack patterns, but put yourself in a position where you could really just annihilate the enemy with as much overpowered nonsense as you can. Like the strategy that I use right now is I'll build up my focus meter so I'm at like max at the time, and then I will wait for them to do an attack that allows me to summon all my monkey friends, all my shadow clones and stuff like that, all at the same time, and then I'll use the freeze ability, the one that immobilizes them. And so I'll use that, and while my monkeys are wailing on them, I'll use all my focus on one attack and just break it. So then they're staggered. Or I usually do that after once the immobilization like ends. It ends pretty fast. So like you'll break their immobilization, and then I'll use all my focus, just beat them. That's a good chunk of health right there. And then you use like I'll use one of my transformations. Doesn't matter what's one. I'll use one or the other. And what's cool is that there's a jug that you can get, a drink that every time you drink it, your monkeys heal, your shadow clones heal. So I'll pop like a healing thing right there before I transform, and then we will just beat them up, and that works out pretty well. And then by the time all my magic spells, everything that I have is just gone, they're at less than like a quarter health, and I just gotta survive the last three attacks or so and just not die. And it's been really great. I'm loving this game. About like level 83 or so, and almost a good portion of the regular skills, like the melee attack skills, have been upgraded on my front. All the heavy attacks and the varied combos. I haven't put anything into spells except for the immobilization and the clones because I use those the most, and I feel like those are the most like useful and the ones that really matter, especially when they're leveled up. So I put some poison into them, and yeah, we've just having a good time back with Wukong. So chapter 5, we're at Flaming Mountain, and we're fighting like this duo. It's like a dude with a fire log and some smoke dude, and they like turn into a giant smoke head or whatever. It's a little difficult, but by the time I get back this weekend, we will hopefully finish chapter 5 and be on chapter 6 throughout the week, and hopefully finish Black with Wukong by the end of the week or next episode or so, just so we can move on to other games. Which, speaking of that we've been playing, I started a game called Core Keeper. Now, this is a game that I saw Asmongold play. Like, it was just a game that he tried out, and I was like, oh, this game looks like Terraria, or reminds me a lot of Terraria, and I love games like that. Games where you could just play, and they're very similar, like the build aspect of it. But this game seems to really emphasize the crafting and the searching for items. And one of my favorite things in the world, fishing. Oh man, the fishing is so good. So like this game is obviously like Terraria. So like, you can make like a little character, customize it, and you start out on like this underground plane, And as you search and you dig up stuff, like it's very like Minecraft, you just iron, dirt, and then you can use that stuff to build like furnaces, crafting tables, and start building other cool stuff. You can get things like pets and all this cool stuff, but like uh, the fishing is really cool because you have like all these skills, mining and stuff that level up, and you get perks. So fishing, you can just put your fishing rod out, and you'll AFK fish. You can just auto fish, and you just put out your rod and you'll just acquire things. You don't have to press a button. You don't have a mini game. There's no requirement for what you can catch at what time, as far as I know. But as what I've been doing is like whenever I've been working or just doing something in the background, I will just use make my character go to a pond or whatever and fish. And I'll fish until my inventory's full, and I'll go back and I'll dump everything. And you can get fish things like locked chests, keys for those locked chests, obviously fish that you can cook. You can have a bunch of cooking stuff. I haven't even looked at the recipe book, I believe, for the cooking pots, which is awesome. So yeah, you can AFK fish, and that's what I've been doing, and it's been getting me a good amount of gear and supplies, and just helping me have a few extra stuff. If I had the extra time, then not really focus on mining or searching, or whatever. And so like Core Keeper is another game like I don't really want to. I don't like to look up things, especially like secrets and stuff, until I feel like I've done all the main stuff and I don't know what I'm missing, kind of thing. So like Court Keeper, when you spawn in, there's like an area where there's these like these pedestals, these statues that you can interact with. And these pedestals, if you beat a certain boss, you get an item, you put that item in, you can unlock items that you can buy. And by buying, I mean if you have the right materials, you can get the item. If you go to the statue, that's what I mean by buy. So that's pretty cool. You get the like dagger. I beat the slime boss, which was pretty easy. So I beat the slime boss, put the item in. I got like a dagger and some robe or whatever. And I've been playing a warlock character, which has been really fun. That's a character where you can use to summon things, like bats. And yeah, I'm having a great time. The best part about this game is it's also cooperative. It's online cooperative. I believe up to 4 players. I got it so I can play it with my friends. Hopefully next week we'll put in time in our own game. I definitely started it just to get like a feel of it, to see what the objective is, how the game feels, what really the game like requires of you in terms of like attention and like skill or like whatever. And it just seems like it's a fun game. Loving it. It's been really fun. Only about 4.5, 5 hours into it, so. And I'm hoping the game's a very long game. I really am. It's definitely really fun. I've been itching to play a game that's like Terraria or Minecraft again, because it's just fun to have that kind of that gameplay loop of like I need to survive going out into the world and gathering stuff and coming back to my base, defending that base. You can build things like rail tracks, defensive things, and all kinds of stuff. It's great. Really great game. Loving it. I really am. I'm looking forward to playing it more throughout the week and fighting more of these bosses and seeing what else the game has to offer. Yeah, that's gonna be really great. And yeah, other than video games, Dragon Ball's coming out, Dragon Age is coming out, so mostly just kind of waiting on those. I would have liked to have time to play some older games, talk about them a little more on the podcast, but I like playing newer games and playing the new games that come out as they launch. So, Wukong, Warhammer, I think Core Keeper is like a newer game. Maybe it launched like early access 2021, but I think it's a full launch now. It hit 3 million players, which is awesome. Congratulations for them. So yeah, it's been fun. So, and other things that I always do is I read manga, books, things like that. And we finished the seventh part of the Jojos Bizzare Adventure manga. That is the Steel Ball Run chapter. And man, oh man, was this so crazy. I mean, in terms of like the overall parts, I probably like seven way more than any of the other parts in my opinion. I really liked it. It was like a great setting, this cowboy western race across America from San Francisco to New York. I mean, that's crazy. I will say, because the part opens up with this character. It starts out with the character Sandman. I don't want to spoil it, but I thought he would make it further into the manga. I kind of thought we'd see him for a lot longer than what we did. I won't say specifically when he bites the dust, but there's like it's a really cool mystery about him throughout it, and I was really hoping to see him kind of come in contact with the main characters more and do being a little more fights, but he just seems like a far more background character overall in terms of the story. Um, I mean, yeah, it was just kind of fun to see him go around in the race, the barefoot guy. Okay, I will say that the biggest weird thing of it all is that Jesus is here, right? They're looking for Jesus. They're looking for Jesus's body parts. That's wild. That's a big background thing in the race in terms of like publicity, like the way like the race is like a world event. It's like the Olympics in this world, and it's just like they're also looking for the body of Jesus. It's crazy. I loved it. R.I.P. to Gyro. I mean, he was really fun. I really enjoyed having him on screen. He was an interesting character. The way he fought and the way they introduce that kind of um ability into the world, the ability of the perfect rectangle and the spiral, whatever. That's shit, man. It's so weird. I'm so glad I started this because it's just like to not know that these characters exist and like this is the kind of world that's being built up. It's so crazy. I want to see where it goes. And my boy Stroheim was also featured again in the manga. Awesome. He's a part 2 character. He comes back a little bit. Yeah, part 7 was really fun. So that I mean that's one of my favorite parts now. I still like Stone Ocean, but it's kind of hard for me to pick. I certainly like 7 more than parts 1 and 2. That's for guaranteed. And um part 6 is about my favorite, but it's definitely almost a tie for those two because I almost feel like I definitely like 7 more than part 5 with Giorno, the Italian one with the mafia, and but a really special one was part 4 with the killer town. So I don't know. I'll definitely have to go back and just compare all of them and see how I like them because they're all so strange in their own way with like their settings. Oh, it's so good. I was so surprised by the turns part 7 took with the cowboy race. It was so enjoyable. I was actually really glad. I hope there's another contest one. Um, I wasn't really paying attention to like the standings throughout the chapters where like characters are placed because just like you started adding things like time banks and saved points, and some characters were dead and they come back. Like it was just fun to see that. I liked contest stuff. It'd be cool to see like a tournament later on in JoJo. But part 8, which I'm only just a little bit into, I'm not very far, is all about amnesia. It's very similar to part 4, where it takes place in a town. It seems like a very weird town where like something happened prior, and now things were happening. And the main character, this JoJo, Josuke, he has amnesia, and he's trying to figure out his past and how he relates to other characters, specifically how he relates to Steel Ball Run, which is awesome. I'm actually glad that there's a big reference to Steel Ball Run so soon in the show. That's great. In the manga, that's awesome. And I'm really not far into part 8, but I'm loving it so far. This is where the um I guess the native colorization like stops. I don't know if there's anything for part 9, but from what I've seen online, because I've been only reading the colorized version up until now, just because I really wanted to see what the art style was like and see it colored. I've never read a colorized manga in its entirety ever. So I just thought it would be really fun. And all the versions online aren't really like um ad optimized, and I don't have like ad blocker on my phone. So I wasn't really like gonna waste my time blocking all these ads or all that stuff. And there's no like app from what I've seen. So I just went back to the black and white run, and that's been still pretty good so far for Jojolion. That's been really great. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what else JoJo has to offer in the future, hopefully, but by the time this month ends, September, we'll be done with JoJo, and I can start on some of the horror manga that I really want to get on. I want to get on things like uh, Junji Ito's Uzumaki again. I want to read that in preparation for his anime that's launching out, and just be ready for Halloween and just get ready for that experience. Really want to try and get more like specific holiday and events kind of stuff for the podcast, kind of be more prepared in that kind of line. But I'm a fickle guy. I kind of just read whatever I want at the time, and until I catch up or I'm finished, it's just like I'm not really gonna move on until that's done. Like JoJo, but I'm glad like part 9 is still ongoing, so that I can read it as we go with the podcast. And I just want to blast through part 8 so I can be caught up with part 9, and then we could just talk about it forever. Because we need more manga that's ongoing. Other than things like One Piece, there really isn't anything that's super ongoing and popular. Now you could go and listen to the last episode where we talk about One Piece chapters 1125 or 1126, and then whatever the new ones comes out in 2 days from now. They come out on Sunday, which is awesome. At least in my reading material. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna see if it's online right now. We're gonna find out because sometimes you can find the chapter online just anywhere. I guess so, like Shonen Jump puts it out a little early, but I use the Shonen Jump app, and it says right here like new chapter coming in 2 days. So let's look up One Piece chapter 1127, and you know what? If I read it, I'll read it really fast, and we'll talk about it right now just to get it over with. Nope, we don't see it. Not seeing it. So it's not available online right now. So that's RIP. And yeah, that's sad. Other than that, the only other manga that's at least ongoing for us that's regular is Wild Strawberry. That's like a weekly one, just about it's been about maybe 7 or 9 days, 7 to 14 days at most for those chapters to come out. We're about chapter 31 now, and chapter 31 was really good. We got this new villain Jenka or whatever using some cool powers. There's some cool spine powers, and it's getting really crazy. It's just a really fun manga that I'm following along on, and I want to talk about it here on the podcast just to, follow it. Because I want to see it animated so bad with its colors. There's even some color portions, but the flower motif to it seems really fun, and yeah, I'm just excited. It seems pretty harrowing to fight these things. So I want to see how the characters get into that. And we got the main character with his power of his sister, and that just seems kind of fun. Because this guy seems like he's angry. And it's weird. Like the world is weird. I want to see like obviously it's gonna be like oh the humans probably made the plants or whatever, and it's like maybe I don't really like that, but we'll see what happens. So Wild Strawberry, in my opinion, was is really fun. And other than that manga, we're really waiting on Dragon Ball Super to come back, which should be probably announced by the time Daima and Sparking Zero get put out. Like maybe like a month or so after that, we'll probably see like something about the manga returning. I believe, we probably will most certainly. Because Daima will probably go on for maybe a regular season of an anime, like 23 episodes, 24 episodes. I could see that. I definitely don't see it going too long. So, um, yeah, then there's Berserk and Black Clover, and I should definitely try to keep up with a little bit more of Go Go Reject Ranger. I've been very behind on that since fully catching up, but yeah, we just gotta keep it up. And yeah, besides the manga and everything like that, what I also okay. Okay, I think we are back. We had minor technical difficulties. Audacity crashed, and I thought I lost the whole episode, which was going to be terrible. But we'll learn to save throughout using the system now. We'll definitely do that. So, yeah, what I wanted to say was that I saw Beetlejuice, and it's been a very long time since I've seen the first one, and we didn't have time to go watch it before because we tried to see movies on Tuesday when they're like half off. So, Tuesday came around and we just ended up going to see it. And I actually really liked it. I thought it was really well made and I thought it was actually kind of funny in some ways. I was surprised that William Defoe was in it and Danny DeVito was also kind of a surprise. And that was actually pretty fun. Michael Keaton killed it as Beetlejuice and it was cool seeing Winona Ryder again. And the jokes were actually pretty funny. I was surprised by some of the raunchiness of it. I thought it would have been uh, not really do a whole lot of that, but I thought it was great. It had a little bit of actual like comedy intent there, like actual well written like comedy jokes, and actually like seeing like all the gags from Beetlejuice again. He's kind of just like obviously front and center. Like every time he's on screen, he's the focus, of course. And side characters to an extent, they were okay. They kind of made the story its own in its own really fun way, and I think it's actually better like one of the better projects that have come out of bringing back things from like the 80s or the 90s in terms of like sequels or remakes or whatever. I thought it was actually really fun. Definitely maybe worth a trip in the theater just for half price movie day, not a whole ticket price, but for Halloween like themed comedy, that kind of thing. It was definitely really enjoyable. I was actually very surprised, so definitely looking out for that. And yeah, we should definitely probably cut this episode short given the um, technical difficulties with Audacity, so we can just put out the uh, episode as soon as possible. And you know, What we have in the future, I believe, is Tokyo Game Show is sometime around September 26th. So it must be maybe this weekend. I'll definitely be on the lookout for that. So that's going to come out in the future. And other than that, besides the mangas and everything else, you guys can expect me to be on JoJo and keep playing games like Core Keeper, Wukong until they're done and another new game comes out and I can't help myself but buy it and play it. So, until then, this has been episode 51 of the Gamer Librarian podcast. Be sure to subscribe for updates on future episode releases. Leave a like and comment on what games or books I should talk about in the future. Thank you and see you next time.